Now, viewers, for years, China weaponized military exports to build influence across Asia. And today, India is entering that arena with a weapon that changes battlefield equations. The BrahMos is no longer just India's pride, it is becoming the Indo-Pacific's preferred ship killer. Fast, accurate, and almost impossible to ignore. Every new BrahMos buyer strengthens a security network that complicates China's military ambitions across the region. And this is where BrahMos separates itself from the competition. While many cruise missiles fly below the speed of sound, BrahMos races towards its target at nearly 3 times the speed of sound at Mach 3. And for an enemy destroyer or frigate, those few lost seconds could mean the difference between survival and destruction. And whether launched from land, sea, submarine or air, BrahMos is designed to overwhelm any naval defense before they can even respond. And there is a bigger geopolitical story unfolding. Nations surrounding the South China Sea are looking for credible deterrence against an increasingly assertive Chinese Navy. Every BrahMos battery deployed along strategic coastlines raises the cost of military adventurism. It is not merely a missile sale. It is a message that sea lanes cannot be dominated without consequence, and India's defense exports are quietly becoming part of the Indo-Pacific's collective security architecture. And the biggest transformation is not only military, it is strategic, because India was once known as one of the world's largest arms importers. But today, countries are lining up to buy an Indian missile because they see capability, credibility, and most importantly, reliability. From the Philippines to a possible Indonesia deal, BrahMos is turning defense exports into diplomacy. Every contract is strengthening India's strategic partnerships while signaling that New Delhi is emerging as a serious security provider in the Indo-Pacific with a weapon that is built with a purpose to deter hostile naval expansion vis-a-vis China. We have Air Commodore Dr. Ashminder Singh Behel, defense and strategy expert, live with us. Dr. Behel, a very good evening to you. How do you look at BrahMos becoming an export weapon of India against China, sir?
Jai Hind. In fact, Deepak, the way you explained was phenomenally good. I doubt anybody else can explain it so well, but I'll try make an attempt towards it. You know, what is the problem in South China Sea? 90% plus is claimed by the Chinese. And why do they do that? They say 9 dash line, and later on they changed that in 1947 to 11 dash line, which makes it from south of Japan, Taiwan, to Philippines, Indonesia, Malaysia, Vietnam. This entire 11 dash line claims the entire area within it, including the North Natuma Sea and the Natuma Islands, which are very close to Indonesia. In fact, they're just about 500 kilometers from Indonesia, whereas they are 1,300 kilometers from Hainan Island. So there is no claim. In fact, in 2016, Indonesia had gone to the Permanent Court of Arbitration and they had ruled and rejected Chinese claims within this. However, the Chinese aggressively do carry out their exercises. They include the trawlers, fishing trawlers. They do illegal fishing. They want to extract gas, which is 1.27 trillion cubic meters of gas, which is found in this region, and also the nickel deposits. You must be aware that Indonesia is the largest reserves of nickel are in Indonesia, 5.3 billion tons. Now, when we are looking at this whole picture where China aggressively sails in these areas, there is a weapon system required which can deter China. And can you believe it? We have Philippines $375 million, likely $450 million with Indonesia, likely $620 million deal with Vietnam. So when we are looking at the bottom U part, we are building a BrahMos shield in the South China Sea and at North Natuma Sea. Imagine India's borders now extend well beyond Straits of Malacca. It's not just the exports that have gone up from 23,622 crores to about 38,424 crores, earning us a lots of precious foreign exchange, and as well as reducing 9.3% the import that we used to do earlier, which you mentioned was your single largest country with imports, but we have reduced that. Now, why is BrahMos so crucial, in this whole strategy? Because BrahMos is one missile which can be used against land targets, which can be used with minor modifications against sea targets. There's a different missile with the anti-ship sensor. And that anti-ship sensor is so beautiful that at 40 kilometers from the target, it updates itself either from other aircraft, satellites, or any other method. And thereafter, it opens up its radar sensor. And then it flies at sea skimming level of 3 to 10 meters. It just gives a pickup range of 25 to 30 seconds, that is 25 to 30 kilometers, traveling at 1 kilometer a second. It is one of the operationally one of the fastest cruise missiles in the world, so when it is traveling, there is hardly any reaction time. No close-in weapon system can actually target it, and the kill probability is extremely high with 1 to 3 meters circular error. Probably imagine what happened in Op Sindoor. We were able to hit
Completely
11 of their
pummeled to the
bases.
ground. The airbase did not. It was almost like it didn't even exist there after BrahMos hit it. But Dr. Behel, do you think that after Philippines now now many other countries like Indonesia are also planning to buy BrahMos? Do you think that India is building a BrahMos belt around China?
Absolutely. BrahMos belt, BrahMos shield, and it is a U shape. If you see, this is Philippines, this is Indonesia, this is Vietnam. So it is building this U shield across, and that is where I say that Straits of Malacca, incidentally, we are doing, coordinated patrols with the Indonesian Navy, so that against the anti-piracy, illegal fishing, drug smuggling, and all other nefarious activities, we actually do twice a year coordinated patrols. So imagine our own maritime boundaries. Maritime security is now getting extended beyond Indian Ocean, right up to South China Sea and North Natuma Sea. We are also looking at UAE, Saudi Arabia. They want the next generation BrahMos, which is 1.2 to 1.5 tons, which means it's half the weight of the current BrahMos of 2.5 tons, which is fitted on the Su-30 MKI, with a range of 4 to 500 kilometers, likely to be extended to 800 kilometers. Can you believe it that the world is looking at us to say, give us this BrahMos, and it can target so highly accurate targets with low observability and hardly any probability of getting intercepted. Imagine when BrahMos 2 comes up with 1,000 kilometers range and also a speed, hypersonic speed of 7 Mach. It will be virtual. I'll tell you something very interesting, before you take me somewhere else. Russia, it's a joint venture project with NPOM, Russian company, as well as with Indian DRDO, with 50.5% with us and 49.5% stake with them. Russia doesn't have it in their armed forces. Today, they are requesting us, please increase the production of BrahMos so that we can buy it from you for our own armed forces. That is the state that we have reached. 85% indigenization on BrahMos is absolutely beautiful. It's a revolutionary weapon.
Dr. Behel, if countries are avoiding or rather turning a blind eye and completely rejecting, Western missile systems and, picking BrahMos, this in itself is a telling story.
Absolutely. When we are looking at Tomahawk missile, the one that you're talking of, or Joint Army Air Standoff Weapon System, which was used by the Americans with B-2 and B-52 bombers in Iran recently, you know what happened? They've used 80% of their stocks of JASSM and also 25% of Tomahawk stocks. Now, if we are looking at India, it provides us magazine depth. And it's this magazine depth vulnerability is the most crucial vulnerability in warfare. Today, you see, Trump doesn't want to get involved in the war, not just the oil prices or the inflation. His own magazine depth vulnerability has come to fore, where a large percentage of his missiles, whether Patriot Advanced Capability Missile, Tomahawk, or JASSM, they are coming down in very short numbers. And that's the credibility of our own BrahMos. And that is the reason why there's so many countries in Middle East, so many countries in Africa who are looking at buying this system, because there is no Tod for BrahMos today.
Dr. Behel, we've unfortunately run out of time, but the real message here is that India can now arm China's neighbors, and that there's another message that China cannot ignore, that is BrahMos is not just India's missile anymore, it is Dragon's new maritime nightmare. We leave it at that. That's all we could have for you in On Point. Thank you, Dr. Behel, for shedding your valuable insights on BrahMos, Brahmastra. With that, viewers, it's a wrap on this edition of On Point. Thank you for watching.